Welcome to Who Won the Week, your weekly dose in sports and advertising.
I'm Mike Shields. I'm next to media.
And I'm Matt Ulrich, media analyst at EDO, the TV Outcomes Company.
All right, Matt, we've wrapped the NFL regular season. We're actually just coming off a great college football playoff. I'm coming to you live from the Tropicana at CES, but I was able to watch the game last night. It was a pretty compelling game. You know, Michigan kind of exploded at the right time. Washington made it a game, but they really rattled their quarterback. But that was a compelling night. We can get into the advertiser for the college football game. But let's talk NFL advertiser. We're here for the awards. We're going to go through 4 of them, starting with advertiser MVP. This is a tricky one for me, but I want to hear what you come up with first.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like this is the hardest one because it's just the widest in scope. But what we did when we looked through the data, EDOs has ad intelligence and ad performance for all ads during the NFL, and so we tried to pick an advertiser that had aired a lot, had a high engagement rate, and did something innovative. So we gave advertiser MVP to Burger King. I think Burger King, it's that great jingle, the have it your way.
Yep.
They innovated. They had a lot of ads for the BK melts, and I know we talked about earlier in the season. My favorite sequence of the year was that they played the same 15-second BK melts have it your way ad 3 times during that one Bills and Chiefs game, including right before the 2-minute warning in early December, and that had one of their highest engagement volume scores of the year, if not the highest. And I love that the innovation on that sequencing, plus just taking advantage of the popularity of that jingle, which I've just heard other football fans just singing or humming. And I know it's just really resonating with the audience. Burger King's top of mind. They're outperforming a lot of their competition. Yeah.
But you're right. It wasn't just an infectious jingle, which is advertising 101, really, and like a classic. And my kids were singing that all year. But it was the fact that they used this spot creatively and with different execution. It wasn't just the same song again and again. They used it. They carved it down in different segments, used it strategically in different games and sequences, like you mentioned. So I thought we were gonna go to Modelo because they've had such a big year in the beer category. We're gonna get to beer in a minute, I think. But I have no argument with your BK example. They really kind of impressed all the way through the season. All right, let's talk about number 2. It's the breakthrough advertiser of the year. I have a couple of thoughts here, but I'm assuming the data tells a pretty compelling story. What's in your mind with this category?
For breakthrough advertiser, we looked for an advertiser that aired more in the NFL this year with a higher engagement rate and did something with their campaign that was notably different from last year.
Not necessarily a brand new brand, but somebody who's really new to the NFL and really ramped it up this year.
Yeah, it's not rookie of the year.
Right.
It's breakthrough. So we picked New Balance. New Balance advertised a good amount, maybe 50 airings last year. They're up to 70 airings during the NFL this year. They only ran one spot into the 2022 season. It's the Hey You, which is another good catchy jingle. But what they did this year was they expanded Hey You to multiple spots with each of their talents. So they have Coco Gauff, they have Jack Harlow, they have
I think at times,
Kawhi Leonard, Shohei Ohtani, and the Coco Gauff spot did really well. That was their top performing spot.
She won the US Open. It was really well timed.
Yeah, and I think, and I feel like she just got so much recognition as an athlete and a celebrity. Yeah. The stat is engagement rate for New Balance ads within the NFL more than doubled, went up by 126% year over year. So viewers were really engaged with those ads. They were searching for the New Balance brand in the minutes following those ads at a very high rate.
I like that because you're right. It's not as though apparel brands don't advertise during the NFL, but it's not a brand you think of as a classic NFL advertiser, and they really did stick out. So that's a good one. I think you'll see them through sports throughout the calendar year. All right, we got to talk about ad of the season, which I think this is where we might get into some of my ideas for rather big beer advertisers. But how are you making a distinction between ad of the season and advertiser MVP?
So advertiser MVP is the full season. So Burger King, they did have that Melts ad, but they had a bunch of other products that they were advertising. It was really about total impact of the brand within the season. Ad of the season, that is the individual creative or ad that we thought stood out the most, both in our data and really with consumers.
So it's a little bit more of a creative focus. I was going to guess either Modelo or the Bud Light. It's on my mind because Bud Light had such a crazy year where they had to come back from their controversy and were trying to rally the troops, and Modelo took the number 2 spot. So I'm thinking of that Peyton Manning ad where he's throwing beers around the bar, but there's so many that Mark
Yeah.
of a Fighter ads. But where did you end up going?
We went with the Capital One ad, the John Travolta
That
Holiday
is a
Night
great one.
Fever. When that came, I just think like that ad, the Bee Gees song comes on, just everyone's turning their head towards the screen. And you see those shoes, him, John Travolta walking. You're like, is that going to be John
Yeah,
Travolta? Like, what's going to go down here? And then obviously they show him, and it's just good branding throughout the Quicksilver card. They hit the 1.5% cash back multiple times throughout the ad. When John Travolta's dancing, in the nightclub, they have a neon Capital One sign, and then he hits the "What's in your wallet" line at the end, and the engagement rate scores on this ad were about 5 times as large
interesting.
on a per viewer basis than the average Capital One ad, which also did well. So it worked for engagement, and I think it was just a
It's funny because
memorable
I might have
ad that
thought of
people, yeah.
Travolta and Saturday Night Fever. That's going to appeal to boomers and Gen X, but it seems to really cross over to kind of everybody, and that was a real crowd pleaser. So I like that choice. I have no problem with that one. All right, last category, which is probably the most clear cut in our mind, biggest spike. I'm assuming this is about the who drove the more engagement than we've seen before. Talk to me about your thinking there.
So individual ad airing, which ad airing drove the greatest amount of incremental brand engagement for that brand in the minutes following the ad. That's really the kind of unit of measurement for EDO, and we turn that into a rate metric. We turn that into a lot of different types of metrics, but biggest spike following an ad
And
for a brand.
I'm gonna assume that's got, my guess would be a brand that had a very specific call to action, direct response oriented, but I could be wrong. So kill the suspense here. Where did we see the spike of the year?
We can just do one like newer brand and one
Okay,
established brand, because there is a curiosity factor of a brand new
sure.
product or brand. So the brand with the overall biggest spike, and this is excluding movies, was the Aura ring. So it's a smart ring, Finnish tech company, and it's like this luxury feel. It tracks your heart rate, it tracks your sleep, and it's just this, like, you see the ring spinning. They look very well
Very
made.
intriguing.
It feels like, right, very intriguing. So that was the curiosity factor, and that peaked out in there was an ad in late September on Amazon Thursday Night Football. So that ad drove the largest spike in search engagement.
Okay,
Um, and then among an established brand, it was Toyota. So Toyota had an ad in October during Sunday Night Football for Toyota trucks. So it's the Outlive, Outlast. It features the Tacoma, which is the top selling midsize truck on the market, and then it also features a few other trucks and like the Toyota 4Runner. So they're trying to play off of this whole Toyota trucks brand. You put it on Sunday Night Football, where they own a lot of the airspace anyways in that category, generate a really large spike in search engagement. So those are the two that we wanted to call out.
that's interesting. Because I don't know if I would have. I would have expected a spike engagement from a car brand pushing a really exclusive offer or a year-end sale or something like that.
Yeah.
This was about the product and they've kind of sowed the seeds of driving this kind of engagement all the year by having a big presence in the NFL. So that's an interesting one. What are we looking for? I like our results here. I was totally wrong on the beer. I wouldn't let that go, but I was obviously thinking it was obviously top of mind from seeing those ads a lot recently. Do you think we're going to see a lot of brands? We're coming up a wild card weekend here. Are we going to see more of the same in the NFL, or do you think we'll see a lot of specific, specialized creative for the playoffs?
I mean, it's pretty established among certain brands, and it's a lot of this like network brand affiliation. So NBC has a lot of Toyota in it. They have a lot of maybe
This is the
Subway
culmination
in
of
it.
the
And
big
NBC has
campaigns you've
three.
done all year, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a lot of NBC has 3 games if you count the Peacock game during Wild
Right.
Card weekend. So I think I've been more thinking about the brand network associations, and hopefully there's some cool innovation
Yeah.
on the ads as some brands start to preview their Super Bowl
Right.
ads.
This is where if you've made
Yeah.
the big deals with the big networks over the year, this is where they kind of come to pay off, and you get to have the real showcase of these big rating spikes. Should be a great weekend. A lot of good matchups. I'm looking forward to it, even though we have none of the locals involved. I'm still not sure who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. We can go a lot of different ways. But Matt, where can folks find out more?
EDO.com for more information.
All right. Thanks, Matt. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Mike. Enjoy Vegas.